Okay, so if you're running coaching or consulting business doing 50K to 500K per month, before you spend another dollar getting more leads, ask a more basic question. How much of the demand you already paid for ever reaches a live sales call? Because a booked call can't make you money until it becomes a live sales conversation. Your sales team can't monetize a name on a calendar. They need the prospect in the conversation. And here's an example. Let's say you pay $500 per booked call. You book 100 calls, only 40% show up. That means you didn't really create 100 live sales opportunities, you created 40. And the other 60 bookings represent $30,000 in acquisition spend that never even reached the point where your sales team could monetize it. So before you spend more money creating more demand, you need to know how much of the demand you already paid for is actually surviving long enough to reach sales. That's the leak we are breaking down in this video. Because a person who downloaded something or opted in and disappeared, and a qualified prospect who watched your VSL fill out your application and booked a sales call are both leads, but they are at completely different points in the buying process. The second person has already taken more steps toward a buying decision, so there are fewer things left that need to happen before they can buy. The closer a qualified prospect gets to the sales conversation, the more expensive it becomes to lose them before your sales team gets a chance to close them. Because if you want to find more sales inside the demand you already have, the qualified people closest to buying are usually the first group worth looking at. And let me show you the full math because this is where it gets expensive. Say you book 100 sales calls every month, okay? Let's use $500 per book call as an example. That's $50,000 spent generating those 100 bookings, right? Your show rate is 40%, so out of those 100 book calls, 40 people actually get on the call. Now, say you close 20% of those live calls, 40 calls at 20% close rate gives you 8 clients. At a 6K offer, for example, that's a $48,000 in revenue. Now, keep the book call volume exactly the same, okay? Same 100 book calls, same ad spend, but your show rate moves from 40 to 60%. And because more prospects arrive prepared for the sales conversation, your close rate moves from 20 to 30%. Now, 60 people get on the call. At a 30% close rate, that's 18 clients. At the same 6K offer, that's $108,000. So you went from 8 clients to 18 from the exact same 100 book calls and the same ad spend. That's $60,000 monthly difference in this example. Now, obviously, I'm not saying your business will automatically go from 40 to 60 show rate or a 20 to 30% close rate. Those are illustrative numbers, okay? Your results depend on your offer, lead quality, qualification, sales process, and your current numbers. The math isn't a promise. It's showing you where the economics opportunity can exist. But this shows you why the stage matters. Those people already become leads, they already moved through your funnel, they already showed enough interest to book time with you. So if qualified prospects are disappearing there, you're losing people who are much closer to a buying decision than someone who just entered the funnel. And that's why when demand already exists, I would inspect the people closest to revenue before automatically paying to create more people at the top of the funnel. And before you assume this means every no-show is a pre-call problem, it doesn't. Some may be bad leads, some may never have been qualified, some may have booked without serious buying intent. A no-show tells you what happened, it doesn't tell you why it happened, okay? So separate them. Which ones were actually qualified? Where did they come from? Did they complete the application properly? Did they have the problem you solved? Could they realistically buy? Did they show real intent before booking? And once you separate those people, now you have a group worth investigating, okay? And if almost every strong prospect shows up and most of the people disappearing are weak leads, your pre-call process may not be the main problem. You may need better qualification earlier in the funnel, okay? Trying to make bad leads show up doesn't necessarily make the business better. The goal is not a prettier show rate percentage. The goal is more qualified sales conversations that can actually become clients. But now say good prospects are disappearing too, okay? They fit the offer, they fill out the application properly, they have a problem, they showed enough interest to book, but a meaningful number of them still don't make it to the call. Now the process after booking is worth looking at. And this is where a lot of businesses stop at reminders, okay? Most businesses already send reminders, and they should. People need to know when the call is happening. But a reminder has a specific job. It's to help someone remember the appointment, right? Remembering the call and still believing the call is worth attending are two different things. A message saying your call is tomorrow at 2 p.m. can help if someone simply forgot about a call, right? But someone can remember the call perfectly and still be thinking, I'm not sure this is for me. I don't really know what we're going to talk about. I found another option. I still have questions about this. I don't know if this is worth an hour of my time. A reminder tells them the time. It does not answer any of those questions. So if the buyer remembers the appointment but loses confidence in taking it, sending another reminder does not solve that problem. And that's why what happens between the booking and the call actually matters. So look at what a qualified buyer still needs to know before the conversation. A booking does not lock in their decision to show up. They can still have questions, they can still have doubts, they can compare you with another option. The booking proves they had enough interest to take the next step. It does not prove that interest will stay unchanged until the call starts. So use that time to make sure the prospect understands why the call matters and arrives prepared for it. If prospects are unclear about what the call is for, make it clear. If the same questions about your offer keep coming up, answer them earlier. If there's a common objection that makes good prospects hesitate, address it. If they need more proof, show relevant proof before a call, and set clear expectations for what is going to happen. This is also why the confirmation page matters more than most businesses treat it. Most people have just taken one of the highest intent actions in the funnel, and the next thing they see is basically, thanks for booking, check your email. Then all the work your marketing did to create that interest gets handed off to a calendar reminder. Instead, that's an opportunity to reinforce why the call matters, what happens next, and what they need to know before they get on the call. Same with your pre-call emails, same with the proof you send, same with the questions and objections your closer hears every single week. And you don't have to guess what buyers need to know. Use your actual sales call as a research, listen 10 or 20 recordings, write down the questions that keep coming up, look at the objections they repeat, look at where prospects seem unsure, look at what they misunderstood before a call. If the same question or concern appears across different prospects, now you have evidence that it matters and you have something specific you can address before future calls. Instead of just guessing what buyers care about, right? You're using the questions your own buyers are already asking. Because if your closer has to answer the same basic question on every sales call, there's a good chance some of that work belongs before the call. Your closer should be having a real sales conversation with a prepared prospect. Their biggest value job is helping qualified prospects make decisions, not repeatedly rebuilding context your funnel could have transferred earlier. And this is why I would also look beyond cost per book call, okay? Because cost per book call can look good while the economics underneath are bad. So for example, let's say you spend $50,000 to generate 100 book calls. That's $500 per booking, but only 40 actually happen. You didn't spend $50,000 to generate 100 live sales conversations, you generated 40. So you're effectively paying $1,250 for every live sales conversation, same ad spend, same dashboard showing 100 book calls, but only 40 opportunities actually reach the sales team. And that's why book call volume by itself can make acquisition look healthier than the sales reality underneath is. Now apply the same idea to scaling. You currently generate 100 bookings, 40% show rate, you get 40 live conversations, 60 don't happen. Now, if we scale and triple the volume, that's 300 bookings, keep the same 40% show rate, you now get 120 live conversations. So yes, scaling gave you more sales opportunities, and if acquisition is profitable, I'm not saying you should stop scaling it, but you also went from 60 book calls that never happened to 180 calls. And your percentage did not get worse. You simply put 3 times more volume through the same leak. Because scaling does not decide which part of your funnel deserves more volume, it multiplies the economics that are already there. And that's why more book calls do not automatically fix the problem. If the leak exists before you scale, more volume gives the leak more volume too. So before you put another 10, 20 or 50K into generating more calls, know what each book call is actually turning into before you buy more of them. So if you want more sales from the leads you already have, start with the people who already showed enough buying intent to book a sales call. Then ask how many actually show up, how many of the people disappearing were actually qualified, what happens after they book, what questions and objections keep repeating, are prospects reaching the sales conversation prepared, or is your closer rebuilding their interest from zero? If qualified prospects already show up consistently and your close rate is strong, then this may not be your biggest problem. You may need more demand, you may need better qualification, you may have another constraint. That's fine, the point is to follow the economics instead of forcing every problem into the same solution. But if you are generating qualified book calls and too many of them disappear or arrive unprepared before the sales conversation, that's a leak worth looking at before you simply buy more demand. So if you're doing 50K or more per month and selling through sales calls, I do a free pre-call audit where we will look at your actual numbers and find that leak in 30 minutes. We will look at your book call, show rate, close rate, and what happens between the booking and the call. If the problem is somewhere else, I'll tell you. If there's a meaningful pre-call leak, I'll show you what I would fix first. The link is in the description. Check it out and I'll see you there. Bye.